Secretary of State Jim Baker takes over the Bush quail campaign. And don't count out Ross Perot. He's still spending campaign money. We'll tell you why. And Eye on America. Tonight, kids at camp. May not seem unusual, but in this case, it is. This is the CBS Evening News. Good evening, Dan Rather reporting. President Bush has been sending out an SOS to his Secretary of State. And it's now clear that James Baker will answer it. He'll come back to run the Bush quail campaign. White House correspondent Susan Spencer is standing by live. Susan?
Dan, the Baker deal could be announced as early as tomorrow, and he's expected to bring a slew of aides with him to the White House to take over operations for what this dispirited place hopes will be the start of something big.
Baker was avoiding cameras today, not yet ready to acknowledge his new job. One Republicans pray will see a repeat performance of the rescue of the last Bush campaign.
He brings a kind of credibility that it's a signal that this campaign is for real, and this campaign is going to be close, and this campaign is going to be a lot better than what we've seen so far.
There will be questions. Why can't Mr. Bush figure out his own message and write his own campaign? And Baker leaves the State Department at an awkward time. Iraq, Bosnia, the Middle East all hang fire.
I hope that the move does not slow the move toward peace in the Middle East or otherwise weaken our responsibilities overseas.
But Republicans will take the hits to have Mr. Bush's best friend coordinate this year's message, that George Bush is a better economic bet than the Democrats. Exhibit A on that front was trotted out this morning. Announcement of a groundbreaking free trade agreement reached with Canada and Mexico.
This historic trade agreement will further open markets in Mexico, Canada, and the United States. And it'll create jobs and generate economic growth in all three countries.
But organized labor thinks the pact will create scores of companies like Smith Corona, which just closed this New York plant to go south of the border for cheaper labor.
They're going to send it to Mexico.
They're going to send it to Mexico?
Yeah.
What are they saying there?
Well, within the next year, they're phasing the plant right out.
The notion that the president's version of free trade is going to create more and better jobs in the United States is pure fantasy.
Governor Clinton, supported by labor, said he wants to look the pact over, but he might back it if it protects U.S. workers and the environment. Congress has to approve it. That won't happen until next year. And if he's president, Clinton could demand changes.
Making sure that Bill Clinton has no chance to demand anything is, of course, Jim Baker's top priority. He hasn't had a challenge this big since 1976 and Gerald Ford. Ford did make a tremendous comeback. It just wasn't quite tremendous enough to win. Dan?
Susan, where does all this leave Vice President Quayle? It's well known that Jim Baker is not a fan of Quayle as the vice presidential nominee.
That's a very interesting question because in 1988, Mr. Baker made it quite clear that Quayle was not his choice. On the other hand, the general feeling around here is that the president's mind is absolutely made up, and in any case, it's too late to change horses now.
Susan Spencer live at the White House. Thanks. President Bush and Vice President Quayle have opened a new attack on Mrs. Bill Clinton. They did so today through official spokesman Rich Bond, chairman of the Republican National Committee.
Now, of course, advising Bill Clinton on every move is that champion of the family, Hillary Clinton, who believes kids should be able to sue their parents rather than helping with the chores as they were asked to do. She's likened marriage and the family to slavery. She's referred to the family as a dependency relationship that deprives people of their rights.
Governor Bill Clinton fired right back at President Bush and Vice President Quayle and the GOP chairman, calling Rich Bond's remarks, and I quote Governor Clinton now, pitiful. Other members of his staff said, besides that, it's untrue. Governor Clinton said it shows that the Republicans have no plans of their own to talk about. There is no doubt about where President Bush and the Republican Party platform stand on abortion. They favor a constitutional amendment to outlaw abortion. But there is interest in some new things President Bush has been saying about abortion, a key issue with a lot of voters this year. Bruce Morton has our report.
Women will decide their fate. Abortion is the issue that will not quit. Alive on Houston streets even after the Republican Platform Committee voted for a tough anti-abortion plank.
We have to keep our pro-life plank just the way it's written.
The committee voted in favor of language banning abortion except to save the life of the mother. One delegate proposed exceptions in cases of rape or incest. That's President Bush's position, but the committee voted it down. That didn't end the debate because last night the president reopened it by saying he'd support a granddaughter even if she had an abortion.
Of course I'd stand by my child. I'd love her and help her, lift her up, wipe the tears away, and we'd get back in the game.
So in the end, the decision would be hers.
Well, who else's could it be? I want her to comply with, I'd like to be able to influence for the belief I have. You see, I'm offended by 1,500,000 abortions. I'm offended by that lack of respect for life. So I'd try to say these values, but your question was if she went ahead and did it, what would I do, I think? And I'd say I'd love her.
I thought he gave a very human response, just like Dan Quayle did the other day.
Mr. Bush's comments didn't bother anti-abortion delegates on the platform committee either. They say his position is clear.
I don't think that's a softening at all, because what he actually said was he would support his child no matter what, or his grandchild no matter what.
One abortion rights delegate did see a change.
In fact, the president, whether he knows it or not, is articulating a pro-choice position as far as public policy is concerned. My hope is that he'll come to see that and say so.
CBS News did a random survey of more than a third of the 2,200 delegates to this convention. They agree with the platform committee and the president on wanting to ban abortion, though 28% thought the party should take no stand on the issue. On the street, how the president's comments looked depended on where you stood.
I don't think that Bush or Quayle said the very similar comments by accident. They're trying to put a compassionate face on what is a very uncompassionate, cold and uncaring policy.
I believe that he feels strongly on the issue, and he knows that the majority of his votes come from the pro-life community.
The issue won't go away. A lot of the politicians gathering here wish it would. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Houston.
Twice within the past 24 hours, President Bush has bristled when he was asked about published but unconfirmed reports that he had an extramarital affair. Today, in an interview with CBS News, First Lady Barbara Bush gave her reaction.
I thought it was absolutely sick. And to take a story by a man who is dead, comes up every 4 years, the same story. I don't know the person who wrote the book, but they ought to have their mouth washed out with soap. It was disgraceful, and for the press to pick it up is even worse.
By the way, Mrs. Bush will be making an address to the Republican National Convention 1 week from tonight. The topic will be family values. It's been a month since Ross Perot quit, said he would not run for president as an independent after all, but apparently that was not the end of his campaign, not entirely. As Scott Pelley has learned, Perot is still bankrolling operations to get his name on some state ballots.
Perot Petition Committee.
Yes, we're still here, believe me.
The glory days are gone, but the Perot Petition Committee is still here, and Ross Perot is spending big money to keep the lights on. CBS News has learned Perot spends at least $500,000 a month to keep offices open in every state and make sure that he's on every ballot.
He still wants to play the game a little bit. He doesn't want to get in the arena, and I think he just wants to keep all options open.
And he appears willing to do whatever it takes. Perot still needs more signatures in Hawaii, Arizona, and New York. And with his New York tables vacant, Perot's lawyers considered hiring a professional firm to get the signatures. But instead, this week, the committee tried a $150,000 ad campaign. While Perot is likely to get on all the ballots, he may have to fight to stay there. Some states are demanding he declare. In California, the state with the most electoral votes, officials say they will drop Perot's name from the ballot unless he hands in a written declaration of his candidacy within 2 weeks. Perot is expected to comply, but committee officials say he's only on the ballot to send a message.
If 10, 15 million people were to vote for Ross Perot, or 3 million people vote for Ross Perot, that's a lot of people who are discontent, and they're saying so. Otherwise, they might just stay home and not vote at all, and we would never know what they were thinking.
Next week, Perot will at least look like a candidate again, pitching his new book, the platform he would run on if he were running. Aides say he will be high profile, traveling, talking issues, and leaving many wondering about his intentions. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Dallas.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, exclusive CBS News pictures and interviews from a Serbian concentration camp in Bosnia. And slow down, it's a school crossing in the strange summer of '92.
Klondike Light Sandwiches, a delightful dessert when you count calories and taste. Only 2 grams of fat. Yep, just 2 grams, 100 calories, but tons of taste. Do not defrost. Klondike Light Sandwiches, 100 calories, great taste.
Suddenly, vitamins are all over the news.
And 2 out of 3 adults don't get all that's recommended in their diets.
The good news is Total has 100% of 10 essential vitamins.
With all the vitamin news, I'm eating Total.
Introducing the new Jeep. With an all-new 4-wheel drive system and exclusive standard driver's side airbag. No other vehicle gives you so much latitude.
There was a moment of mercy in the Bosnian Civil War today. Serbian fighters who have been devastating civilians agreed to a temporary truce so that 300 women and children could leave Sarajevo on a convoy of buses. It was a bitter trade-off, a chance for mothers and children to find safety as refugees, leaving their men behind to fight or die or both. A U.S. official charged today that Serbian forces have been moving prisoners out of concentration camps in Bosnia to prevent the Red Cross from seeing the worst conditions. CBS News correspondent Martha Teichner and her crew were the first to get inside one camp in southern Bosnia.
Foča prison, identified as one of the most notorious Serb death camps, with reports of prisoners routinely tortured, of daily executions. We were allowed access, although strictly supervised, to what were described as fighters. No, civilians, they said. We were taken from our homes. Our translator, who once lived in the town of Foča, spotted her high school Latin teacher, Loyo Hussein. I am not a fighter, he said, although some are. Our treatment is correct, but we are all hungry. Shaban Churovic, here for 2.5 months, was not the only one who looked gaunt and emaciated, although most did not.
The prisoners told us they're treated well, but when the guards stepped out of the room, they told us that special forces take people away for interrogation and beat them. As soon as the guards came back, the prisoners looked afraid and clammed up.
A human rights organization has named Foča as one of many camps where inmates are in grave danger. Prison officials say these are prisoners of war, some of them wounded in battle, who have signed confessions admitting military crimes. They are charged with genocide for waging war against the Serbs. At Foča, prisoners stare in wary silence as they devour the food that leaves them hungry. They have the look of men who think it's safest to be invisible, anonymous. The Serbs insist treatment at Foča is good. They say have a look at how Serbs are treated in enemy camps and see how good. Martha Teichner, CBS News, at Foča prison.
There is more CBS News ahead, including Eye on America. Tonight, a summer camp that's like a home for kids who don't have one.
They've taken the secret.
Europeans are upset. The Kellogg's Muesli cereal uses their secret recipe.
This we kept in the family.
After all, they've been guarding this delicious secret forever. Ah, but this luscious blend of sweet fruit, crunchy nuts, and crisp whole grains was destined to become Kellogg's Mueslix.
Angelina, you told?
It wasn't me. I swear.
Kellogg's Mueslix, the European secret for great taste.
I couldn't sleep at all last night. I was tossing and turning all night.
Can't sleep? Try Unisom. In medical tests, people fell asleep faster and slept better with Unisom than without.
Now I'm sleeping and sleeping all night.
Take Unisom for faster, better sleep. Or when you have pain and also can't sleep, take Unisom with pain relief.
Why Centrum Silver? Because you're over 50 and you're just hitting your stride. Centrum Silver vitamins. Because the latest scientific research about changing nutritional needs after 50 is built in. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
Everybody needs some money sometime.
Only Western Union can get money to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
They'd do anything for a night with the king. All you have to do is watch Crazy About Elvis, an all-new 48 Hours tonight.
The U.S. economy is sluggish at best. People aren't doing much buying, and that's keeping prices down. The government reported today that wholesale prices rose just 0.1% last month. Even with prices down and mortgage rates down, it's still getting tougher to buy that first home. The real estate industry said today that fewer and fewer Americans now can even come up with a house down payment. In news about health and medicine, there is a new weapon in the fight against hepatitis A, the liver disease that comes from eating contaminated food. Researchers report tonight that in tests on children, an experimental vaccine for hepatitis A was 100% effective and caused no serious side effects. Now, from around the world, more CBS News. In the African nation of Somalia, rival warlords agreed to let the UN send in 500 troops to guard food shipments for starving civilians. But it may be too late for millions dying in Somalia from the effects of civil war and drought. In Baghdad, Saddam Hussein blamed corrupt businessmen and, quote, irresponsible government officials for the decline in Iraq's economy and promised to punish them severely. The speech indicated UN sanctions may be biting harder than Saddam has previously admitted. In Boston, the QE-2 sailed into dry dock for repair of the 74-foot gash in her hull. Meanwhile, investigators say they found a large, uncharted rock on the ocean floor near where the ship ran aground last week. And in Long Beach, California, the legendary Spruce Goose is being dismantled. The huge World War II flying boat built by Howard Hughes will be moved to a museum in Oregon. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, the summer of '92. The weather is a boat from the blue.
Presenting Rice-A-Roni in the resealable canister. Make as little or as much as you want and get that same great taste. So you can serve the whole gang or just part of it.
The San Francisco tree.
If you suffer from the common aches and pains of arthritis, doctors know that a safe and effective way to relieve them is something you may already have in your home. Extra strength Tylenol gel caps. Tylenol helps relieve arthritis pain without irritating your stomach, the way aspirin or even ibuprofen can. What should you take for your arthritis pain? Talk to your doctor. The answer may be closer than you think. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
There's a certain itch that's so private, most people will only discuss it with their doctor. Fortunately, now you can get new Anusol HC1 ointment. Over the counter, with the same prescription strength doctors have prescribed most.
His views are provocative to some and controversial to others. An exclusive talk with Ross Perot tomorrow on CBS This Morning with Harry Smith and Paula Zahn.
All around the country, people are talking about the wild weather this summer. And in a lot of places, what they're saying is, maybe it's cold outside. Jacqueline Adams reports.
This summer, a funny thing happened on the way to the beaches. The temperatures plunged. The lifeguards bundled up, and only the most daring souls ventured into the water.
How's the water? Great. Cold, but it's fun.
No, it's not your imagination. Meteorologists confirm that in much of the country, the temperatures are way below normal. Last month was the third coldest July since 1895.
Very cool and wet and stormy weather has affected much of the Midwest, the plains, and the eastern part of the country.
How cold is it? In Minneapolis last month, it was so cold, the Snoopy float was frozen out of the annual Aquatennial Torchlight Parade.
Feels like January.
It's so cold at the New York Botanical Garden, the lilies are, well, little.
Normally, by the first week in August, we would expect to see arcanas head high, 6 feet high.
For years, scientists have worried that carbon dioxide emissions were warming the Earth to dangerously high temperatures. This year, though, the trends have all gone haywire, and many believe Mount Pinatubo is to blame. Last year, the Philippine volcano erupted, sending tons of sulfurous particles into the upper atmosphere, and the volcano is rumbling again.
Mount Pinatubo may have had some impact on blocking the incoming sunlight and possibly providing some cooling of the Earth here right now.
Whatever the reason, the weather's hotter and drier in the Pacific Northwest. So dry, landscapers are painting the lawns. It's been so wet in the South and Midwest, carp have been caught in traffic. And it's been so chilly in Manhattan, air conditioner delivery men are in shock.
I want it to be hot. People walking around sticky, they sweating. People have to take off their ties, their hats. Women, they got to go home and take a shower between lunch breaks. That's what I want to see.
Well, maybe next year. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, New York.
After examining, testing, it's a fact. You can buy new Preparation H hydrocortisone cream with the maximum strength available without a prescription to relieve problem itch. New Preparation H hydrocortisone cream. Prescription strength without a prescription.
When I hear the rain, I know I'm in for it. The dampness, the chill. Arthritis pain seems to come from every joint in my body. For pain like this, now instead of aspirin, I take Advil. Advil contains the same medicine my doctor often prescribes for arthritis pain. In fact, for minor arthritis pain, doctors recommend Advil most. With Advil, I'm on my way. Advil, tablets and caplets. Advanced medicine for pain.
Right now, every gallon of paint is on sale at Sears. Every interior, every exterior. Save 10 to 33% on Weather Beater, Easy Living, Dutch Boy, Olympic Stain, and more. But hurry, sale ends Saturday at Sears.
Her name is Sarah, and she's lucky, because today she'll encounter egrets doing dances and alligators in the wild. She'll see how other moms take care of their kids, and she'll be doing this, recycling, through a program of the National Park Service and its recycling partner, Dow.
We can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
Together with the National Park Service and folks like Sarah.
Dow lets you do great things.
Fixodent Fresh. The spring water fresh feeling is reason enough to try it. And it's the strongest holding adhesive, so you'll never settle for anything less. Crisp freshness. Strongest hold. Two great reasons to Fixodent and forget it.
What if you could get the fiber you need for regularity in a crisp, delicious wafer? Well, now you can. Metamucil wafers. All the effectiveness of Metamucil, and it tastes like a cookie. Metamucil wafers.
For many American kids, growing up means a home, a school, a family, and summer vacation fun. For others, growing up means living in the street and trying to survive. A few of those kids are lucky this summer. They're getting a vacation too. Meredith Vieira has tonight's Eye on America.
I love you. You gonna miss me?
They could be anybody's kids on their way to summer camp. Except when they get homesick, it will be for a place that doesn't exist. They are homeless children, and for them, a pup tent in the woods is a far cry better than where they come from.
Around here in the projects, the children have a habit of picking on shelter children and doing bodily harm, and I don't want that.
Rhonda and her 11-year-old son, Naquan, have been living in a New York City shelter since January. They were forced out of their home after she stood up to some crack users and the family was shot at.
Have a good trip, okay?
Rhonda says Naquan has changed since he got to the shelter, always picking fights. He's ready to burst in here, she says. It's a short distance from Naquan's shelter to endless square miles of national park. For the next 19 days, some 100 city kids, most of them recruited from shelters, will have a chance to breathe again. Nicole is just 7, and already she's lived in a foster home in 2 basements. Now she and her sisters and her grandmother share one room in a shelter. She doesn't know where her father is. Her mother lives on the streets.
My mother, she never bought me nothing for my birthday, only my grandmother.
Why hasn't your mom bought you anything?
Because she don't have no money. She buy her money on crack.
Bob Baer, who's run the camp for 9 years, just wants to give kids like Nicole back what's been taken away.
Childhood is taken away from them when they have to worry about crime, about molestation, dealing with the reality of drugs and violence, homelessness. A small child shouldn't have to worry about any of that. A small child should worry about, skinning their knee on a rock, passing a swimming test.
And you are?
Naquan.
Naquan. Okay.
Naquan is assigned to a cabin with 4 other boys and 2 counselors. Those who don't have clothes or toiletries are given them. Bear provides all the basics, including love. The kids here get more individual attention than they would at an ordinary camp because that's what they need most, to break down the walls they've built up to survive. With Naquan, it isn't easy.
He's very defensive. He's not so much angry as he is afraid to be hurt.
People say that I'm just always got like a sad face. Sometimes when you're real happy, people just spoil your fun.
Naquan doesn't want to be the man of the house. He wants to be 11 years old, and here he gets the chance. Nicole is used to swimming in a bathtub, but for 19 days, she has a whole lake to explore.
It's fishes in that water, but they give you kisses.
Watching her reminds Bear how resilient these kids are.
She laughs, she smiles, she's outgoing in spite of what she's gone through.
You got a lot of this, and you got a lot of that. So
I mean, if this kid just catches one break, just one break, and gets a little bit of stability in her life, she's going to be a dynamo.
Merry Christmas, everybody!
Santa always shows up on the last night of camp since he can't find a lot of these kids on Christmas Eve. The only thing missing in his sack is the money needed to keep this camp going. Homelessness is not the hot issue it used to be, and without funds, not even Santa can save the place.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. I want to stay here forever.
I wish I could save the world, but for 19 days we can change their reality and give them a whole different life.
Summer camp 1992. Naquan found his smile again, and Nicole shared hers with everyone. There's not much distance between hopelessness and hope, and no real difference between these kids and anybody else's. In New York for Eye on America, I'm Meredith Vieira.
And that's part of our world tonight. Coming up on 48 Hours, the king we can't forget, even though his reign ended 15 years ago. Find out why America is crazy about Elvis on 48 Hours, tonight at 10, 9 Central Time. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you again soon on 48 Hours.
Experience CBS News. It's a management nightmare. Your executives are at each other's throats. This boss had to do something fast. And guess what? It worked.
This is a much less expensive way of healing wounds than just to get rid of somebody.
So how did he make a peaceable kingdom out of a pinstripe war zone? Tomorrow's Eye on America on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.
It might look like Velveeta loaf, but it won't cook like it.